Hi, the SI meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Friday, February 24th. Well, quite an interesting transition from the warmth of yesterday to back to reality. Much more seasonable temperatures expected for the weekend, and the warm air has already been displaced by a backdoor cold front that slid down the northeast coast overnight, and east winds have pushed in much cooler air all the way down into the Washington, D.C. area, and the warmth of yesterday is gone. And it looks like temperatures will remain much cooler today compared to yesterday, perhaps reaching the 50s in the D.C. area and probably holding in the upper 40s to low 50s around Philly, and definitely only in the 40s at best in the New York City region. And that's all because of that backdoor cold front that slid through. There's a stronger cold front coming from the west to the east that's now out in the Ohio Valley that'll come through basically at the end of the day, early tonight. And behind that front, we could have potentially damaging wind gusts out of the west up to 50 miles per hour or so late in the day, and especially overnight tonight, all the way up and down the I-95 corridor. Well, let's take a look at the latest situation here. We'll focus in on both the backdoor cold front and the Ohio Valley cold front. First of all, this is the very latest situation. There's a little bit of shower activity here in the Mid-Atlantic region along I-95, associated with stiff easterly winds. Again, what happened overnight is that a frontal system actually dropped all the way down past south of the D.C. area in this fashion, and the winds are coming out of the northeast or east behind this front. Meanwhile, the stronger cold front is out here over the Ohio Valley with a strong storm system right out here in the northwestern part of Ohio. So we'll have stiff east winds or northeast winds over the next several hours, right through the early afternoon hours. I don't anticipate getting into the warm air, which now is bottled up down over here in southern part of Virginia. There's a chance that it could move it could get much warmer in the southern suburbs of the Washington, D.C. area, but I don't hold out much hope. In a moment, we'll take a look at the temperature change over the last several hours. It just doesn't look like that warm air will have a chance to get back in before this cold front slides through in the mid to latter part of the afternoon. So again, a backdoor cold front came in overnight. Our winds have shifted around to off the ocean, a much cooler ocean, and all the way down through the D.C. area. A stiff easterly wind will keep temperatures much suppressed compared to yesterday. Meanwhile, once this cold frontal system passes through mid to late afternoon, the winds will shift. Instead of an easterly or northeasterly direction, they'll come out of the west or northwest and pick up in intensity. And again, 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts are possible behind this Ohio Valley cold frontal system that'll pass through late in the day. So those winds will kick up dramatically late in the afternoon and especially overnight, right up and down the I-95 corridor, and continue well through the day on Saturday. Sunday looks much more tranquil. Well, here's just another map to kind of focus in on this mesoscale situation with this backdoor cold front. These are temperature changes over the last few hours. All of this area here, basically from New York down to the Washington, D.C. area, are decreasing temperatures. This is where it's gotten a lot colder over the last several hours. And in fact, that frontal system dropped down the coast overnight in this direction and now is lined up south of Washington, again through the central part of the Delmarva Peninsula. All the real warm air is bottled up down here. There can be some thunderstorm activity developing later on. I find it hard to imagine that the warm air can get back into the D.C. area. They're probably looking at highs of the mid to upper 50s as opposed to near 70 degrees yesterday. And it'll be very difficult for the warm air to get back in Philadelphia and New York before this next cold frontal system sweeps on through and ushers in more seasonable cold air for tonight and tomorrow, along with those potentially damaging wind gusts. Here's a GFS forecast map for this evening, and by this time that strong cold front that now sits out over the Ohio Valley is along the coast and moving eastward. We're already in, by this time, strong west and northwesterly flow of air, and again, winds could gust up to 50 miles per hour anywhere in the Mid-Atlantic region from late in the day and then especially overnight tonight into the early part of tomorrow. And the whole reason for that is this storm system that's developing on the north side of this front will really intensify rapidly over the next several hours as it heads into eastern Canada. And that'll increase the pressure gradient up and down the northeast coast, allowing for those very strong wind gusts overnight tonight into tomorrow. Here's a GFS map for tomorrow morning. By this time, the winds are just howling out of the west and northwest. Very strong winds. For the most part, it'll be dry tomorrow, although cannot rule out a rain or snow shower anywhere along the I-95 corridor. But for the most part, there'll be a mix of clouds and sun, maybe a rain or snow shower. But the big news will be the very strong winds that will continue through much of the day throughout the entire Mid-Atlantic and Northeast as that strong storm just slowly moves away into the eastern part of Canada. Temperatures will not be all that unreasonable. Back to seasonable temperatures, mainly highs in the 40s, close to normal for this time of the year. But the combination of how it felt over the last couple of days and the much lower wind chills will make it feel much colder than it actually is. Here's a GFS map for tomorrow night. Still some strong northwest winds, but they start to slacken off tomorrow night. And Sunday looks like it'll be not a bad day, really. Much more tranquil. The winds will not be anything at all on Sunday like they will be tomorrow. And there'll be plenty of sunshine, so a much nicer day is in store for Sunday. But again, quite an active transition back to reality over the next 12 to 24 hours or so. The biggest part of the story will be the potentially damaging wind gusts anytime from at the end of the day today through tonight into much of tomorrow, perhaps up to 50 miles per hour or so. Well, for the SIweather.com, that's it for now. I'm the SI meteorologist, Paul Dorey.